Staff Sergeant Marcus Chun pressed his back against the crumbling concrete wall, feeling the rough texture through his tactical vest. The abandoned warehouse district stretched before his 8-man ranger team like a maze of shadows and death. Intelligence had been wrong again. What was supposed to be a simple reconnaissance mission had turned into a nightmare when 43 enemy fighters surrounded their position. The morning had started like any other in the war-torn city of Kandahar province. Chin's team received orders to investigate reports of weapons caches hidden in the industrial sector. The area had been quiet for weeks, with local informants suggesting the enemy had moved operations elsewhere. Chin knew better than to trust such reports completely, but higher command insisted the mission was routine. Private Rodriguez crouched beside him, sweat beading on his forehead despite the cool morning air. The young soldier had joined the team only 6 weeks ago, fresh from advanced infantry training. His eyes darted nervously between the broken windows of surrounding buildings, searching for movement in the shadows. "Sergeant, we've got eyes on us from multiple positions," whispered Corporal Williams through the radio. The team's designated marksman had taken position on the second floor of their building, using his scope to survey the area. His voice carried the calm professionalism that comes from 3 tours of combat duty. Chin acknowledged the report with 2 clicks of his radio. He had spotted at least 12 muzzle flashes during the initial contact 20 minutes ago. The enemy had positioned themselves strategically, using the maze-like layout of the warehouse district to their advantage. Every possible escape route seemed blocked by hostile forces. The Rangers had been moving through the area in standard patrol formation when the first shots rang out. Chin's instincts, honed by 4 years of combat operations, had saved his team from walking directly into the kill zone. He ordered immediate dispersal to covered positions just as rocket-propelled grenades began exploding around their location. Specialist Thompson, the team's communications expert, worked frantically with his radio equipment. The concrete walls of the warehouse were interfering with their signals, making contact with base camp nearly impossible. Fragments of static-filled transmissions occasionally broke through, but nothing coherent enough to coordinate a rescue operation. "Sir, I'm getting something," Thompson whispered urgently. His weathered hands adjusted dials and frequencies with practiced precision. After several tense moments, a clearer signal emerged from the static. Base camp was requesting their status and exact location for possible extraction. Chin quickly assessed their tactical situation. The enemy had them pinned down in a 3-story warehouse with limited ammunition and no clear escape routes. His team carried enough supplies for a 12-hour mission, but their current predicament could last much longer. Water and medical supplies would become critical factors if they remained trapped. The building they occupied offered both advantages and disadvantages. Its concrete construction provided excellent protection against small arms fire, but the same walls that protected them also limited their mobility. Windows on each floor gave good visibility of the surrounding area, but also created potential entry points for enemy forces. Private First Class Jackson, the team medic, moved efficiently between positions, checking each soldier for injuries sustained during the initial contact. His calm demeanor helped maintain team morale despite their precarious situation. Jackson had treated everything from minor shrapnel wounds to life-threatening injuries during his 2 previous deployments. "Movement in the East Building, 3rd floor," reported Williams from his overwatch position. His voice remained steady as he tracked multiple targets through his scope. The enemy appeared to be repositioning for what looked like a coordinated assault on the Rangers' position. Chin knew they needed to break the enemy's momentum before they could organize a proper attack. His team's training emphasized aggressive defense when surrounded, using superior marksmanship and tactical coordination to disrupt enemy plans. The Rangers had faced similar situations before and survived through disciplined teamwork. The industrial district around them told the story of a city torn apart by years of conflict. Abandoned machinery rusted in forgotten workshops, while bullet holes and blast damage marked nearly every surface. Local civilians had fled the area months ago, leaving behind a ghost town perfect for military operations. Sergeant First Class Martinez, the team's demolitions expert, examined their defensive positions with a professional eye. His experience with explosives and fortifications made him valuable for both offensive and defensive operations. Martinez had already identified several structural weak points that could be exploited if the situation deteriorated further. We need to establish communication with headquarters, Chen decided. Their survival depended on coordinating with friendly forces for either reinforcement or extraction. The enemy's superior numbers meant the Rangers could not sustain a prolonged engagement without support. Rodriguez checked his ammunition count nervously. Like the rest of the team, he carried a standard combat load designed for patrol operations, not extended firefights. Each soldier would need to make every shot count if they hoped to hold their position until help arrived. The sound of voices echoed from the surrounding buildings as enemy forces coordinated their movements. Chen recognized several different accents and languages, suggesting a mixed force of local and foreign fighters. This complicated their tactical assessment, as different groups might employ varying combat techniques and equipment. Williams adjusted his scope and took careful aim at a figure moving between buildings. The target appeared to be directing other fighters, possibly a senior leader. A successful shot could disrupt the enemy's coordination and buy valuable time for the Rangers to improve their position. Target acquired, Williams whispered into his radio. His finger moved to the trigger as he controlled his breathing and calculated the shot. Years of training and combat experience had made him one of the most skilled marksmen in the regiment. The distance was within his effective range, and wind conditions appeared favorable. Chen watched the surrounding buildings through his own rifle scope, looking for signs of the coordinated assault he knew was coming. The enemy had taken time to position themselves properly, which suggested they understood military tactics and would not make careless mistakes. Thompson's radio crackled with another partial transmission from base camp. This time, the message seemed to confirm that rescue operations were being planned, but details remained unclear due to the poor signal quality. The communications specialist continued working to establish a stable connection. The warehouse district's layout created natural choke points and firing lanes that both sides could exploit. Chen began developing contingency plans for different scenarios, knowing that their survival might depend on rapid tactical adjustments as the situation evolved. Jackson completed his medical assessment and reported all team members fit for combat. Minor cuts and bruises from the initial contact would not significantly impact their fighting effectiveness. His medical supplies included enough materials to treat serious wounds, assuming they could maintain their defensive position. Martinez identified several structural modifications that could improve their defensive capabilities. Using minimal explosives, he could create better firing positions and potentially block certain access routes. However, such actions would also alert the enemy to their exact positions and intentions. The morning sun climbed higher, creating shifting patterns of light and shadow throughout the warehouse district. These changing conditions would affect visibility and targeting for both sides, requiring constant tactical adjustments throughout the day. Chen's mind raced through possible scenarios and responses. His team's training emphasized flexibility and aggressive action, but their current situation demanded careful conservation of resources and ammunition. The next few hours would test everything they had learned about small unit tactics and survival. Williams steadied his rifle against the window frame, watching enemy fighters move between the abandoned buildings like shadows in a deadly game. His scope revealed details that would have been invisible to the naked eye. 3 men with automatic weapons had taken position behind a concrete barrier 200 meters away. A 4th figure crouched near a destroyed vehicle, apparently directing the others through hand signals. The Ranger marksman had earned his reputation during countless engagements across 2 combat deployments. His rifle, a precision instrument customized for long-range accuracy, had become an extension of his own body through thousands of hours of practice. Williams understood that in their current situation, his ability to neutralize key targets might determine whether his team lived or died. Contact, 2 o'clock, approximately 150 meters, Chen whispered into his radio. The team leader had spotted movement in a partially collapsed workshop. Enemy fighters were using the rubble as concealment while they maneuvered closer to the Rangers' position. Their coordination suggested professional military training rather than simple militia tactics. Rodriguez adjusted his position to cover the approach Chun had identified. The young soldier's hands trembled slightly as he gripped his rifle, but his training took over as he controlled his breathing and focused on his assigned sector. Combat veterans often said that courage was not the absence of fear, but the ability to function effectively despite being terrified. Thompson managed to establish brief contact with base camp through his radio equipment. The transmission quality remained poor, but he confirmed their GPS coordinates and requested immediate assistance. Base camp acknowledged their situation and promised to coordinate rescue operations, though no specific timeline was provided for when help might arrive. The enemy's tactical approach became clearer as Williams observed their movements through his scope. They were establishing overlapping fields of fire that would turn the area around the Rangers' building into a kill zone. Once positioned properly, the hostile forces could prevent any escape while gradually wearing down the defenders' ammunition and morale. Martinez examined the building's structural integrity with professional interest. His demolitions training included extensive knowledge of construction techniques and weak points. The warehouse had been built to withstand heavy machinery, which made it excellent for defensive purposes. However, prolonged combat could compromise structural elements critical to their protection. A distant explosion echoed through the district as enemy forces apparently used heavy weapons against another target. The sound served as a grim reminder that the Rangers faced opponents with access to military-grade equipment. Their small arms and limited ammunition put them at a significant disadvantage in any prolonged engagement. Movement in the North Building, reported Williams as he tracked multiple targets through his scope. The enemy fighters moved with disciplined precision, using proper cover and concealment techniques. Their tactical competence suggested they had faced professional soldiers before and understood how to counter conventional military responses. Jackson organized his medical supplies while maintaining watch on his assigned sector. The team medic had learned during previous deployments that preparation could mean the difference between life and death when casualties occurred. His aid bag contained enough materials to treat multiple serious wounds, assuming they could maintain their defensive position long enough for proper treatment. Chin studied the tactical situation with growing concern. The enemy's methodical approach indicated they were willing to take time to position themselves properly before launching their assault. This professional patience suggested experienced leadership that would not make the careless mistakes typical of hastily organized attacks. Williams identified what appeared to be a command element coordinating the enemy's movements from a building 300 meters away. The target presented a challenging shot due to distance and partial concealment, but eliminating key leaders might disrupt their tactical coordination. His scope's magnification revealed details that confirmed the target's importance to the enemy force. "I have a shot on what looks like their commander," Williams whispered into his radio. The figure in question carried different equipment than the other fighters and appeared to be directing their deployment through radio communications. Neutralizing this individual could create confusion and delay their coordinated assault. Chin considered the tactical implications of Williams taking the shot. Success could significantly disrupt enemy operations, but the muzzle flash would also reveal their sniper's position to hostile forces. Once identified, Williams would become a priority target for enemy marksmen and heavy weapons. The decision required balancing immediate tactical advantages against long-term survivability. Rodriguez reported movement in his sector as enemy fighters established firing positions closer to their building. The hostile forces were gradually tightening their encirclement, reducing the Rangers' options for escape or maneuver. Each position the enemy established made their situation more precarious and limited their tactical flexibility. Thompson intercepted enemy radio communications on his scanning equipment. Though he could not understand the language being used, the frequency and urgency of transmissions suggested active coordination of an imminent assault. The communications specialist's ability to monitor enemy signals provided valuable intelligence about their intentions and timing. Martinez identified several defensive improvements that could be implemented using materials available in the warehouse. Stacking concrete blocks and metal debris could create better firing positions and additional protection against small arms fire. However, such modifications would require exposing team members to enemy observation and fire. The industrial equipment scattered throughout the warehouse district created a complex maze of potential cover and concealment. Williams used his scope to map possible movement routes that the enemy might use for their assault. Understanding these approaches allowed the Rangers to position themselves more effectively and anticipate where threats might emerge. Jackson noticed that several team members showed early signs of stress and fatigue. Combat operations in confined spaces created psychological pressure that could affect decision-making and reaction times. His medical training included knowledge of combat stress reactions and techniques for maintaining peak performance under extreme conditions. Target is stationary, clear shot available, Williams reported as he maintained his scope picture on the apparent enemy commander. The tactical situation provided a brief window of opportunity that might not present itself again. His professional assessment suggested a high probability of success if he took the shot immediately. Chen weighed the decision carefully. Military doctrine emphasized aggressive action when surrounded, but it also required consideration of long-term consequences. Williams' shot could provide immediate tactical advantage, but it would also escalate the engagement and potentially trigger the coordinated assault they hoped to delay. The enemy's methodical approach suggested they understood the Rangers' capabilities and were taking appropriate precautions. Their patient deployment indicated confidence in their superior numbers and willingness to invest time in proper positioning. Such tactical discipline made them more dangerous than impulsive fighters who might be goaded into premature attacks. Rodriguez checked his ammunition count again and realized the magnitude of their supply challenge. Each team member carried enough rounds for normal patrol operations, but their current situation might require sustained defensive fire. Conservation would become critical if the engagement lasted more than a few hours. Williams maintained his sight picture on the target while awaiting Chen's decision. His scope revealed additional details about the enemy's equipment and organization. Several fighters carried advanced weapons systems, while others appeared to have communication equipment that suggested coordination with forces beyond the immediate area. Thompson's radio equipment detected increased enemy communications activity that seemed to indicate preparation for coordinated action. The volume and frequency of transmissions suggested multiple groups were being positioned for simultaneous operations. This intelligence confirmed Chen's assessment that they faced a sophisticated opponent with professional military capabilities. The warehouse district's abandoned machinery and industrial debris created excellent concealment opportunities for both sides. Williams identified several positions where enemy fighters could establish firing positions with minimal exposure. His tactical analysis helped the team understand potential threat directions and prepare appropriate defensive measures. Martinez calculated the explosive force that would be required to create additional escape routes through the building's walls. While technically possible, such actions would alert the enemy to their intentions and potentially compromise the structural integrity of their defensive position. The demolitions expert recommended reserving such measures for emergency situations. Chen made his decision based on tactical necessity and available intelligence. The enemy's methodical approach suggested they had time to coordinate properly before launching their assault. Williams' shot could disrupt their leadership and create confusion that might delay or prevent a coordinated attack. The potential benefits outweighed the risks of revealing their sniper's position. "Take the shot," Chen commanded quietly into his radio. Williams adjusted his breathing, centered the crosshairs on his target, and gently squeezed the trigger. The rifle's crack echoed through the warehouse district as the enemy commander dropped instantly. The precision shot created immediate confusion among the hostile forces as fighters looked around desperately for the source of the attack. Williams immediately shifted position, moving away from the window where his muzzle flash might have been visible. His years of combat experience taught him that staying in one location after revealing his position would be fatal. The enemy would concentrate their fire on his last known location, turning the area into a storm of bullets and explosives. Enemy communications erupted with urgent chatter as fighters tried to coordinate without their leadership. Thompson monitored their frequencies, noting the confusion and panic in their voices despite not understanding their language. The loss of their commander had clearly disrupted their planned assault and created an opportunity for the Rangers to improve their tactical position. Secondary target, East Building, second floor, Williams reported as he identified another priority enemy position. Through his scope, he could see a fighter with what appeared to be a rocket-propelled grenade launcher. This weapon posed a significant threat to the Rangers' concrete shelter and needed to be eliminated before it could be employed against their position. Chun coordinated defensive assignments as the enemy began responding to their snipers' effectiveness. Rodriguez was directed to cover the southern approach while Martinez monitored the western sector. Jackson maintained his medical readiness while covering the northern windows. Each team member understood their role in the coordinated defense of their position. The enemy's tactical response revealed their level of training and discipline. Instead of panicking after losing their commander, they began systematic suppression fire designed to pin down the Rangers while other elements maneuvered for better positions. Their coordinated response suggested backup leadership had taken control and was implementing contingency plans. Williams acquired his second target and took careful aim. The fighter with the rocket launcher was partially concealed behind concrete rubble, presenting a challenging shot that required precise placement. The marksman calculated distance, wind conditions, and target movement before settling his crosshairs on the exposed portion of the enemy's torso. Target 2, eliminated, Williams reported as his second shot found its mark. The enemy fighter dropped his weapon and fell backward, no longer a threat to the Rangers' position. The loss of their heavy weapons capability significantly reduced the enemy's ability to force the Rangers from their defensive position through overwhelming firepower. Rodriguez spotted movement in his sector as enemy fighters attempted to close the distance under cover of suppressive fire. The young Ranger opened fire with controlled bursts, forcing the advancing fighters to seek better cover. His accurate shooting demonstrated the training and discipline that made Army Rangers effective in desperate situations. Thompson established clearer communication with base camp as atmospheric conditions improved. The Rescue Coordination Center confirmed that help was en route, but provided no specific timeline for arrival. Their location in the warehouse district complicated extraction planning due to the enemy presence and limited landing zones for helicopters. Martinez identified structural damage from enemy weapons that could potentially compromise their defensive position. Several concrete walls showed spalling and cracks from impacts, though the overall integrity remained intact. The demolitions expert recommended repositioning certain team members to avoid areas where continued impacts might cause structural failure. Williams continued his methodical elimination of key enemy targets. His third shot neutralized a fighter who appeared to be coordinating communications between different enemy groups. The loss of this individual further degraded their tactical coordination and created additional confusion among the hostile forces surrounding the Rangers' position. Snipers working them over good, Rodriguez commented with grim satisfaction as he watched enemy fighters become increasingly cautious about exposing themselves. Williams' accurate shooting was having a psychological impact that extended beyond the physical casualties he inflicted. The remaining enemies were becoming reluctant to move openly, disrupting their tactical plans. Jackson treated minor injuries sustained by team members during the initial contact. Concrete fragments and debris had caused several small cuts, but nothing that would significantly impact combat effectiveness. The medics' calm professionalism helped maintain morale as the team realized they were holding their own against superior numbers. Chin assessed their tactical situation as it evolved throughout the engagement. Williams' sniper fire was successfully disrupting enemy coordination and preventing them from massing for an effective assault. However, their ammunition supply remained a critical limiting factor that could determine the outcome if the engagement continued much longer. The enemy adapted their tactics in response to the sniper threat by increasing the use of smoke and concealment. Several fighters began using burning debris to create smoke screens that would obscure Williams' vision and reduce his effectiveness. This tactical adjustment showed their understanding of how to counter sniper operations. Williams adjusted his hunting techniques to account for reduced visibility and changing tactical conditions. His scope included infrared capabilities that could penetrate some smoke and identify heat signatures. The marksman continued to find and engage targets despite the enemy's countermeasures, maintaining pressure on their tactical coordination. Thompson intercepted communications that suggested the enemy was requesting reinforcements or heavy weapons support. The radio traffic indicated frustration with their inability to dislodge the Rangers from their defensive position. Additional enemy forces would complicate the tactical situation and potentially overwhelm the team's limited ammunition supply. Martinez prepared contingency plans for different scenarios that might develop as the engagement continued. His demolitions expertise could create additional defensive positions or escape routes if the situation deteriorated. However, such measures would require careful timing to avoid compromising their current tactical advantages. Fourth target down, Williams reported as he eliminated another enemy fighter who had attempted to establish a firing position too close to the Rangers' building. The marksman's consistent accuracy was maintaining the psychological pressure that kept enemy forces at a respectful distance and prevented coordinated rushes on their position. Rodriguez coordinated with Williams to identify additional priority targets in his sector. The young Rangers' accurate fire support was helping to maintain their defensive perimeter while conserving ammunition through precise shot placement. Their teamwork demonstrated the small unit tactics that made Ranger teams effective despite being outnumbered. Chen monitored their ammunition status and calculated remaining combat capability. Each team member had expended roughly 25% of their basic load, leaving sufficient supplies for continued defense if managed properly. The sergeant's tactical experience suggested they could maintain their position for several more hours if Williams continued to disrupt enemy coordination. The psychological impact of Williams' sniper fire extended beyond the immediate tactical situation. Enemy fighters were becoming increasingly reluctant to expose themselves, reducing their offensive capability and creating opportunities for the Rangers to improve their defensive preparations. Fear of the unseen marksman was proving as effective as the physical casualties he inflicted. Jackson coordinated with Thompson to establish communication protocols for medical evacuation if casualties occurred. The medics' planning ensured that wounded team members could receive appropriate care while maintaining the defensive integrity of their position. His preparations demonstrated the comprehensive training that enabled Rangers to operate effectively in isolated situations. Williams identified his fifth priority target as an enemy fighter attempted to establish an observation post that would provide intelligence on the Rangers' defensive positions. The marksman's shot eliminated this threat before it could gather actionable intelligence for the hostile forces. His continuous pressure was preventing the enemy from developing effective countermeasures. Base camp reports extraction team en route, Thompson announced with carefully controlled excitement. The rescue operation was finally being coordinated, though specific details remained classified for operational security. The team members felt renewed determination knowing that help was coming, even as they continued their desperate defense against overwhelming odds. The distant sound of helicopter rotors echoed across the warehouse district as extraction assets approached the area. Williams continued his methodical elimination of enemy targets, knowing that each shot brought his team closer to survival. His sixth confirmed kill had been an enemy fighter attempting to coordinate anti-aircraft defenses that could threaten the incoming rescue helicopters. Air support inbound. Mark your position with infrared strobe, Chen ordered as he activated the team's emergency beacon. The device would allow friendly aircraft to identify their exact location while remaining invisible to enemy forces lacking night vision equipment. Proper coordination between ground and air elements was critical for successful extraction under hostile conditions. Rodriguez maintained suppressive fire on enemy positions that threatened to interfere with the rescue operation. His accurate shooting kept hostile fighters pinned down while the extraction helicopters maneuvered into position. The young Ranger had gained confidence throughout the engagement, transforming from nervous recruit into effective combat soldier under the pressure of life-or-death situations. Williams acquired another target as enemy forces attempted to establish firing positions that could engage the approaching aircraft. His seventh shot eliminated a fighter armed with what appeared to be an anti-aircraft missile system. The marksman's ability to identify and neutralize the most dangerous threats had become critical to their survival and successful extraction. Thompson coordinated communication between the trapped Rangers and the incoming rescue force. The helicopters needed precise information about enemy positions, friendly locations, and suitable landing zones. His radio expertise ensured clear communication despite the electronic interference and combat noise that could disrupt critical coordination. Martinez prepared explosive charges that could clear obstacles or create diversions during the extraction process. His demolitions expertise provided additional tactical options that might become necessary if the enemy attempted to interfere with the rescue operation. The explosives could also seal access routes to prevent enemy forces from pursuing the extraction team. Extraction team taking fire from multiple positions, reported the helicopter pilot as enemy forces engaged the rescue aircraft with automatic weapons. Williams immediately shifted his attention to identifying and eliminating these new threats. His scope revealed muzzle flashes from several buildings as enemy fighters attempted to drive off the rescue helicopters. Jackson prepared casualty evacuation procedures in case team members were wounded during the extraction process. Combat operations involving helicopters created additional risks from rotor wash, debris, and concentrated enemy fire. The medics' preparations ensured that any wounded Rangers could receive immediate treatment while maintaining operational tempo. Chun coordinated tactical movement as the extraction helicopters established a defensive perimeter around their building. The rescue operation required precise timing and coordination to minimize exposure to enemy fire. Each team member had specific responsibilities for security, communication, and movement during the critical extraction phase. Williams engaged his eighth target, neutralizing an enemy fighter who had achieved a firing position with clear shots at the hovering helicopters. The marksman's continued effectiveness was proving decisive in suppressing enemy attempts to interfere with the rescue operation. His accurate fire allowed the helicopter crews to maintain position despite hostile fire from multiple directions. Smoke deployed for concealment, Martinez announced as he activated canisters that would obscure enemy observation of the extraction zone. The dense white smoke created visual barriers that prevented accurate enemy fire while allowing the Rangers to move toward their rescue helicopters under cover of the artificial concealment. Rodriguez provided rear guard security as the team began movement toward the extraction point. His position allowed him to engage any enemy forces that attempted to interfere with their withdrawal from the defensive position. The young Ranger's steady performance under pressure demonstrated the effectiveness of his military training and natural courage. Thompson maintained communication with both the helicopter crews and Base Camp Coordination Center throughout the extraction process. Multiple radio networks required constant monitoring to ensure all elements remained coordinated during the complex operation. His expertise prevented communication failures that could have resulted in tactical confusion or friendly fire incidents. Williams eliminated his ninth confirmed target as an enemy fighter attempted to use a rocket-propelled grenade against one of the extraction helicopters. The marksman's shot prevented the launch of a weapon that could have destroyed the aircraft and killed everyone aboard. Jackson provided medical support for a helicopter crew member who had sustained minor wounds from enemy small arms fire. The medic's skills proved valuable beyond caring for his own team members, contributing to the overall success of the rescue operation. His treatment ensured that the wounded aircrew member could continue performing critical duties during the extraction. Martinez detonated charges that collapsed access routes behind the withdrawing Rangers, preventing enemy forces from pursuing them to the extraction zone. The explosive barriers bought precious time for the helicopters to complete their mission and depart the area before enemy reinforcements could arrive with heavier weapons. Williams engaged his 10th target while providing overwatch during the team's movement to the helicopters. The enemy fighter had attempted to establish a position that would allow flanking fire on the extraction zone. The marksman's elimination of this threat ensured that his teammates could reach their rescue aircraft without additional casualties. All personnel aboard, departing immediately, reported the helicopter pilot as the extraction was completed successfully. Williams conducted a final scan of the area through his scope, ensuring no immediate threats remained that could endanger their departure. His vigilance during the critical extraction phase exemplified the professional dedication that characterized elite military units. Rodriguez secured equipment and provided security during the helicopter's departure from the hostile area. Enemy forces continued attempting to engage the aircraft with small arms fire, but their accuracy was degraded by the continuing effects of Williams' sniper fire. The psychological impact of the marksman's deadly effectiveness had disrupted enemy coordination throughout the engagement. Chun conducted an immediate after-action assessment as the helicopters climbed away from the warehouse district. His team had successfully defended their position against overwhelming odds and coordinated a successful extraction under hostile fire. The sergeant's tactical leadership had enabled his soldiers to overcome a desperate situation through disciplined teamwork and aggressive defense. Thompson established communication with base camp to report the successful completion of their extraction and provide preliminary intelligence on enemy forces in the warehouse district. His detailed observations would contribute to future operations in the area and help other military units understand the tactical challenges they might face. Williams conducted a final count of his confirmed eliminations during the engagement. 10 enemy fighters had been neutralized by his precision shooting, significantly degrading the hostile force's combat effectiveness and tactical coordination. The marksman's deadly accuracy had been the decisive factor that enabled his team's survival and successful extraction. Jackson provided medical treatment for minor injuries sustained during the extraction process while conducting assessments of each team member's physical and psychological condition. The medic's comprehensive care ensured that all personnel were fit for continued operations and had received appropriate treatment for combat-related stress. Martinez secured his demolitions equipment and conducted an inventory of explosives expended during the defensive operation. His expert use of charges had enhanced the team's defensive capabilities and provided critical support during their extraction. The specialist's technical expertise had contributed significantly to their tactical success. Mission accomplished. Returning to base, Chin reported to the Rescue Coordination Center as their helicopters flew toward friendly territory. The Ranger team had survived their encirclement through superior training, tactical discipline, and the deadly effectiveness of their designated marksmen. Their successful defense and extraction would become a textbook example of small unit tactics under extreme conditions. The helicopter touched down at forward operating base Eagle as the sun began setting over the mountainous horizon. Chin's team disembarked with the methodical precision that characterized their every action, despite the physical and emotional exhaustion from their harrowing ordeal. Medical personnel waited nearby to conduct immediate assessments, while intelligence officers prepared to debrief the Rangers on their encounters with enemy forces. Williams carefully secured his rifle in the armory, performing the routine maintenance that had become second nature after years of combat operations. The weapon had performed flawlessly during the engagement, delivering 10 precise shots that had saved his team's lives. The marksman's steady hands showed no sign of the stress he had endured while systematically eliminating enemy fighters throughout the day. Rodriguez walked alongside his teammates toward the debriefing area, his confidence transformed by the crucible of combat experience. The young Ranger who had nervously checked his ammunition count that morning had evolved into a seasoned fighter who had held his sector under overwhelming enemy pressure. His accurate shooting and disciplined performance had earned the respect of his veteran teammates. Thompson organized his communication equipment and prepared detailed reports on enemy radio procedures and tactical coordination observed during the engagement. The intelligence gathered from intercepted communications would help future operations understand hostile capabilities and improve tactical countermeasures. His technical expertise had maintained critical links between his trapped team and their rescue coordination. Jackson conducted medical evaluations of each team member, documenting minor injuries and stress indicators that would require monitoring in the coming days. Combat operations created physical and psychological effects that could impact future performance if not properly addressed. The medic's comprehensive care extended beyond immediate battlefield treatment to long-term health maintenance. Martinez submitted detailed reports on enemy tactical capabilities and recommended defensive improvements based on observations during the engagement. His professional assessment of enemy weapons, coordination methods, and assault techniques would contribute to tactical training programs for other military units. The specialist's demolitions expertise had provided critical defensive enhancements throughout their ordeal. Chen met with the battalion commander to provide preliminary assessments of the tactical situation in the warehouse district. Intelligence failures had nearly cost his team their lives, but their successful defense provided valuable information about enemy capabilities and tactics. The sergeant's leadership under extreme pressure exemplified the professional standards expected of Ranger leaders. Confirmed enemy casualties: 10 killed in action by sniper fire. Unknown additional casualties from team defensive fire, Williams reported during his technical debriefing with intelligence personnel. His precise shooting had been documented through scope recordings and teammate observations throughout the engagement. The marksman's deadly effectiveness would be studied for tactical lessons and training improvements. The base camp medical facility provided comprehensive examinations for all team members, ensuring that minor injuries received proper treatment and no serious conditions had been overlooked during combat operations. Jackson's field treatment had been excellent, but professional medical evaluation was standard procedure after extended combat engagements under stressful conditions. Rodriguez participated in psychological debriefing sessions designed to help soldiers process combat experiences and identify any stress reactions that might require professional intervention. The young Ranger's successful performance under extreme pressure indicated strong mental resilience, but comprehensive evaluation ensured his continued effectiveness and personal well-being. Thompson's communication logs provided detailed timelines of the engagement that would be analyzed for tactical lessons and procedural improvements. His accurate reporting and technical expertise had been instrumental in coordinating the successful rescue operation. The intelligence gathered would contribute to improved communication procedures for future operations. Martinez worked with explosive ordnance disposal teams to account for all demolition materials used during the defensive operation. His expert employment of charges had enhanced defensive capabilities without compromising structural integrity or endangering team members. The specialist's professional competence had provided critical tactical advantages throughout the engagement. Chen received commendation from higher command for his team's exceptional performance under impossible odds. The tactical situation had required innovative solutions and aggressive defensive action that exceeded normal expectations for small unit operations. The sergeant's leadership had transformed a potential disaster into a tactical success that would be studied for years. Williams was recommended for advanced marksmanship instructor positions based on his demonstrated expertise during the engagement. His ability to identify and eliminate priority targets under extreme pressure had been the decisive factor in his team's survival. The marksman's deadly precision would be used to train future generations of military snipers. The after-action review conducted by regimental headquarters identified multiple lessons learned that would improve future operations in urban environments. Intelligence preparation, communication procedures, extraction coordination, and small unit tactics all showed areas for enhancement. Chen's team had provided a textbook example of how professional soldiers could overcome overwhelming odds through training, teamwork, and tactical discipline. Rodriguez received recognition for his transformation from inexperienced recruit to effective combat soldier under the most demanding conditions possible. His steady performance and accurate shooting had contributed significantly to the team's successful defense. The young Ranger's courage under fire exemplified the fighting spirit that made Army Rangers legendary. Thompson's technical expertise in maintaining communications under adverse conditions earned him recommendations for advanced training programs that would enhance his capabilities for future operations. His ability to coordinate between multiple agencies during the rescue operation had been critical to their successful extraction. Jackson's medical performance throughout the engagement demonstrated the comprehensive training that made Ranger medics effective in combat situations. His treatment of both team members and helicopter crew had exemplified the professional competence expected of military medical personnel. The medics' calm performance under pressure had maintained team morale throughout their ordeal. Martinez received commendation for his innovative use of demolitions to enhance defensive capabilities and support extraction operations. His technical expertise had provided tactical advantages that exceeded normal expectations for small unit operations. The specialist's professional competence would be used to improve training programs for future demolitions personnel. The warehouse district engagement became a case study used in military schools to demonstrate effective small unit tactics under adverse conditions. Chin's team had faced overwhelming odds and survived through superior training, tactical discipline, and the deadly effectiveness of precision marksmanship. Their success validated decades of military doctrine emphasizing aggressive defense and coordinated teamwork. Williams continued his military career as a senior instructor at the Army Marksmanship Unit, where his combat experience and technical expertise were used to train the next generation of military snipers. His 10 confirmed eliminations during the warehouse engagement became legendary within the sniper community as an example of precision shooting under extreme pressure. Rodriguez advanced through the ranks to become a team leader himself, drawing on the lessons learned during his baptism of fire in the warehouse district. His transformation from nervous recruit to confident leader demonstrated the effectiveness of military training programs and the crucible of combat experience in developing professional soldiers. Thompson specialized in advanced communication systems and intelligence gathering, using his technical expertise to support special operations throughout his career. His performance during the warehouse engagement had demonstrated the critical importance of communication specialists in modern military operations. Jackson pursued advanced medical training and became a senior medic responsible for training other combat medical personnel. His calm performance under extreme pressure during the warehouse engagement had exemplified the professional standards expected of military medical specialists. Martinez continued his explosives expertise in special operations, where his technical skills were used to support the most demanding military missions. His innovative use of demolitions during the warehouse engagement had demonstrated the tactical flexibility that made Army Rangers effective in any environment. Chin advanced to senior leadership positions where his combat experience and tactical expertise were used to train other Ranger units. The warehouse district engagement had tested every aspect of his leadership capabilities and proven his ability to lead soldiers through the most challenging situations possible. The legacy of the warehouse district engagement lived on in military training programs, tactical manuals, and the memories of the soldiers who had lived through the ordeal. Their successful defense against overwhelming odds demonstrated that properly trained and equipped soldiers could overcome any challenge through professional competence, tactical discipline, and unwavering determination.